In today's video, I'm going to show you the easiest way to stop overspending, and even better, I'm going to do it without saying that terrible B word that everyone hates. You know the one. Budget. Hi there, friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Marissa, and this is A to Zen Life, where we talk about all things related to simplifying your way to a happier, richer, and all-around better life. So if that sounds like your jam, please make sure and hit that subscribe button, and let's dive into the topic of this week's video, which is overspending and how to quit doing it so you can stop wasting money and cluttering up your home. But before we get started, I just want you to know that if you struggle with overspending, you are not alone. In fact, according to research, 84% of Americans admit to frequent impulse shopping, and they end up buying an average of 3 impulse purchases each week, which adds up to an average of $18,000 a year in non-essential spending. And I've noticed that a lot of articles and YouTube videos that talk about how to stop overspending focus on things like budgeting or no-spend challenges or swapping out your credit cards for cold hard cash. And don't get me wrong, I love a good budget as much as the next frugal gal out there, but the thing about budgets is that they just don't work for everyone. In fact, a budget is a lot like a Band-Aid. They're okay for small cuts, but slapping a Band-Aid on a broken leg ain't gonna do a whole heck of a lot. In the exact same way that a budget isn't going to help someone who has a toxic relationship with money and is bleeding money left and right. So instead of focusing on all of these outside factors, it's going to be a whole lot easier for you to stop overspending and take back control of your finances if you change your relationship with money from the inside out. Starting with number 1 on this list, which is to pinpoint your bad spending triggers. And I put the word bad in quotation marks because a lot of people have this idea that money or wanting money is bad or evil, when in fact, money is simply a tool that is morally neutral. In and of itself, it's neither good nor bad, and it's all about how we perceive and use it. More on that a little bit later. So putting your spending under a microscope and taking a good hard look at when and what you tend to impulse buy is a first step in stopping that behavior in its tracks. In my case, I had a bad habit of wanting to buy things just because they were on sale and I didn't want to miss out on a great deal. And there was this one time I went to Florida with my sister for spring break, and I saw this crazy mermaid fountain statue that was on sale for 50% off because it had a small chip in the basin. Even on sale, it was still like $200, which back then was a lot more. And I was a broke college student living in a tiny apartment who had no business spending that kind of money on a mermaid statue. But I just had to have it. And I swore up and down that someday I was gonna own my own home and I was gonna design my bathroom around this mermaid statue. Well, to make a long story short, I spent the $200 and I had to sit next to that sucker for the entire 15-hour trip back from Florida to Indiana and hold on to the darn thing to make sure it didn't fall over. I never ended up using it, and I actually gave it away to my cousin during my decluttering journey. So for me, healing my spending triggers meant letting go of the scarcity mindset and fear of missing out on a great sale or a good deal. But for you, it might mean that you need to stop your late night TikTok scrolling habit that always ends with you buying the latest clothes or makeup trends. Or maybe you've gotten into a habit of ordering takeout with Uber Eats or DoorDash to treat yourself after a hard day at work, when it would financially make more sense for you to be making your meals at home. I know it can be tough to figure out what your money triggers are, especially if you've never tracked your spending. So if you'd like help with that, I've linked a free spending tracker printable for you down in the description box and pinned comment below, which is really helpful for people who have no idea where to start. The next step on this list is to build a priority pyramid. A lot of people say that they want to spend less and save more, but when you look at their spending, they're not putting their money where their mouth is. I knew one girl in college who never had enough money for rent or to pay back the friends who loaned her money, but who was somehow magically able to afford to buy herself a pack of cigarettes and McDonald's every single day. So if you really want to stop overspending and take back control of your finances, it's important to get your priorities in order. Just like the food pyramid starts with the healthiest foods at the bottom, the foundation of your priority pyramid should be built upon your fixed costs, things like rent, and mortgage payments, car insurance and gas, and other non-negotiables like this. And then after that, the next level up is where you prioritize your financial values and goals. I grew up eating fast food and microwave dinners after my mom died, which made me want to prioritize spending money on groceries and cooking healthier meals for my family at home. Even if it's the same meal of burgers and fries, for example, I can sneak veggies into the burgers to make them healthier and oven roast the French fries instead of deep frying them. And then if you have the goal of saving enough money to put a down payment on a house, then you should be making putting a set amount of cash into a high-yield savings account each month a top priority. And then just like the unhealthiest foods are at the top of the food pyramid, the top level of your priority pyramid is reserved for things that are wants versus needs. Things like hobbies and eating out, getting your nails done, or going on vacation. Things that you can spend your money on typically more sparingly if and only if you have enough left over after you've prioritized the essentials and your values and goals first. Number 3 is to check your money filters, because all of us experience life through filters that color our perception of the world. On Instagram, people put filters over their bodies and faces that make them look prettier or younger, and sometimes the filters are so exaggerated that it's easy to recognize when a person is using them, but sometimes the filters are so subtle it's tough to tell the difference. But filters aren't just for social media, because all of us see the world every single day through a filter that is colored by our experiences, our attitudes, and our beliefs. I grew up in a middle-class family with a landscaper dad who didn't believe in things like investing or the stock market. And instead, what he did with his money is he put it into collectibles, things like antiques and coins for himself, and Barbie dolls and Beanie Babies for myself and my sister. So I grew up believing that the purpose of money was to buy stuff, and that stuff would always grow more and more valuable over time, which turned me into a hoarder that was stuff rich and money poor. So when it comes to money and how you spend it, try and figure out what filters you have that might be clouding your attitude and money habits, and if they are holding you back instead of helping you, then you can move on to the next step, which is to change your identity when it comes to money and personal finance. Another problem with toxic money beliefs is they can easily turn into a self-fulfilling prophecy and become part of your identity. If you're always telling yourself that you're a person who is horrible with money, then you'll probably have trouble saving it. Compared to that, someone who thinks they are frugal is going to be more likely to do things they see as frugal, like tracking expenses, budgeting, and being able to resist impulse purchases. One of the best books that I've ever read on this topic is Atomic Habits by James Clear, who says that changing your identity boils down to 2 simple steps. Number 1, deciding on the type of person that you want to be, and number 2, proving it to yourself with small wins. And I'll make sure to put a link to the Atomic Habits book and audiobook down in the description box below for you in case you're interested. I listened to it as an audiobook first, and I liked it so well that I decided to get myself a physical copy, but both are really, really good. After I decided to take control of my finances, I stopped telling myself that I was just bad with money and that it was always going to be that way, and I started re-educating myself by seeking out books and articles about frugal living, personal finance, self-improvement, and more. And then slowly over time, I made small changes that eventually resulted in these huge financial leaps forward, like plucking up the courage to ask for a 13% raise and getting it, and my husband and I being able to eliminate $250,000 worth of household debt over the course of 5 years. So trust me, if someone like me was able to do this, you can too. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is questioning your relationships, because when it comes to money and how you spend it, who you spend your time with matters a lot. Consider these statistics. One survey found that 78% of millennials use their friends' financial habits as a way to mirror their own, with 66% of them trying to keep pace with their friends' spending. And not only that, but finances are also the leading cause of conflict in long-term romantic relationships. And I've definitely experienced firsthand just how much toxic people can drag you down and hurt your finances. Back Back when I was younger, I fell in love with a high school dropout who had trouble keeping a job because of his bad back, and who spent most of his time and money on things like cars, gaming, and getting drunk with his friends. And the longer I was with him, the worse my life got, to the point where I ended up having to drop out of college so that I could work multiple minimum wage jobs in order to support the both of us. I know. But the moment that I broke up with him, my life did a complete 180 and it completely changed the trajectory of my future. I know it can be hard to let go, but if your friends or loved ones are negatively affecting your finances, either by mooching off of you and not paying you back, or by making fun of you for being too frugal or whatever, that might be a sign that it's time to rethink your relationship with that person, or at the very least, to set some new and better boundaries. If you've made it this far, please be sure and give this video a like and drop me a comment down below with your best tip to stop overspending or save more money. And if you're looking for more personal finance tips or ideas on how to spend less and save more, make sure and go check out this video that YouTube thinks that you'll like, or I'll see you next week. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.